T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Shall we begin? Let's begin.
Hello.
How are you?
Welcome. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
How is everybody doing? It's Saturday night. We at the virtual club, y'all. Act like y'all in the door, okay?
Yes. What's up?
Welcome. Look, he took us old school real quick. I'm gonna actually tell you all why we're here, why you should be here. So I want you all to continue to share this and get your family, friends, everybody in here because we having some real talk conversations tonight. So welcome to the Who Runs the World, Boys or Girls, a relationship remix. So we're going to maybe decide the answer to that question. It may not be what you think it is, but we're going to go for it. So I think the ladies are already saying they won this before we even got here, but we shall see. So I wanted to welcome all of our panelists to the show. This is also sponsored by Dove Style Magazine. So I'm hoping that you all are going to enjoy every bit of this. I want the everyone who's tuned in to share. We'll be able to see your comments. We're going to have a few giveaways. We have an amazing host for tonight, and we have some wonderful panelists that are going to join us tonight. So I want to introduce everybody. First, I'll let you know, for those who don't know who I am, my name is Lisa Dove Washington, and I'm the CEO and founder of Dove Style Magazine. I have been talking about doing something like this forever. And I think actually, Dirk, even earlier this year, I said, I think we should do something like this. And we got a situation where we're in the house. We can put everybody together virtually. I'm hoping at some point we can take this to the stage, but we shall see. So without further ado, Dirk, I didn't even know, did you want to introduce the panelists, or we'll start with you and then you can start to find out who's here with us today. But I want to welcome our host. Dirk, I know you all know who he is, but we call him Dr. Dirk Prince DeJour, and he is actually gonna keep y'all in line tonight because we got some fun in the line. So I want y'all to enjoy, have a good time, keep it real. We're gonna be respectful of each other. But I'm gonna pass it over to you, and we're gonna get this party started.
Well, you know what? As Lisa said, Who Runs the World, Boys or Girls, the relationship remix. And the reason why we call this a relationship remix, you think sort of like music, a musical remix. Puff Daddy invented that back in the 90s, right? A remix is simply something that's been done before, but someone brought it back again that did it in a totally different way. And I think that pretty much with the pandemic and COVID-19, a lot of us need to redo our lives, redo our relationships, how we communicate with one another, how we relearn, how we discover, how we rediscover one another. A lot of people are stuck in isolation in the house. And we figured this would be a fun way for us to come together. Most people can't even get out the house. So this is sort of like a date night, a game activity, conversation. Some people, I think you guys have popcorn in the background. I see somebody with a soda or something in the background. Now, one of y'all got something in the background. I'm not even going to announce that. I can't even talk about what that is. That's grown people in the background, right? Glass of wine or something, you know. But I mean, we just want to have a good time, have a lot of fun. And this is how we're going to do this because time is going to get away from us very fast. All right. So Lisa has a coin. We're going to toss the coin, heads or tails. And so let's go with my man CJ. We'll let him choose for the guys. All right. And we'll let Dana choose for the ladies. So Lisa, you go ahead and flip the coin. And based on whoever gets it right, be the first one to pitch the question to get the game started. Right.
So I'm doing my Vanna Black moment. Okay.
Tails.
I'm gonna throw this coin up. Let's see what happens.
We like tails.
So I'm gonna throw it in the air, and y'all gotta yell out.
We like tails.
Hold on. You said heads, right? CJ
No, we like tails.
Already out of order. Already out of order. Can't follow the
like tails.
Tails.
It's not up in the air.
Like tails.
Pop, 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 pop. Oh Lord.
CJ, you
Uh-huh.
gonna let us get this show started. So look,
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna throw it up in the air, and then you all shout. Okay, it's up in the air.
Heads.
It's heads.
Tails.
Hey, it's us.
Ladies got it first. Ladies
So
got it first. I think that's at least that's the setup.
That's real.
That gotta be a setup. It is what it is.
All right, so we'll go ahead and throw it out there. Dana, how about you? Dana, you seem like you're ready. Are you ready, Dana?
I am so ready. I'm so ready. I'm so excited to be here. I am Dana Hutchinson. I am the editor-in-chief of Def Style Magazine. And so I'm just excited to be here just to get some insight, to learn some things, and also to give some wisdom. There's nothing wrong with a little wisdom. So I'm just happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
All right, welcome.
So we're gonna start off with the
Who's gonna go
ladies.
next?
We're gonna start off with the ladies, and I guess then it'll just kind of we'll bounce back off of each other. Shariva, and I thought Shariva you can join us in here. I don't know what you're doing behind the scenes. Bring your pretty face
Yeah,
to the
come on up on the screen.
Oh, hello everyone. Hello. So I did want to give a little background and let you all know we have questions and things that we've collected over the last few weeks. And Dana's actually been a part of some of those lives, but we want to start off with some of those questions to Reva. If we get stuck on some questions, we can also list, what we have. But Dana was part of that. So Dana has questions. Okay. So Dana don't need our list. I'm just gonna say that she don't need our list. So Dana,
Right,
you
Dana,
can
behave yourself.
Okay. All right. Let's get this party started. So I'll just give some little insight as to where I am. I am a twice married, twice divorced, single woman, Black woman, educated woman. And I am in my 50s, almost late 50s. And the dating scene has been challenging at best. Just finding men in my age range who still haven't given up the player card, who still don't have a purpose and plan for their life. They're still looking for someone else to define that for them. And that's been very frustrating. And so why is it that men in this era have a hard time, one, being committed, and two, just being real, just being open and honest about, hey, either I'm for you or I'm not.
okay.
All right, fellas, which one of you guys want to answer that question? Hey, Prince, you have your finger on your head like you're thinking, man. Why don't you go ahead and take that? All right?
All right. So
Go ahead, man.
I would say a lot of men, like, they always say the ratio is like 12 to 1, 18 to 1. So like the option is like always open.
18? Wow, okay.
I mean, well, granted, when I was in college, it was like 12 to 1 or 10 to 1, but I know it increases like all the time. I honestly think that most men, we kind of know what we want, but sometimes like you might see like a red flag here, and it might push you to kind of look outside the box. And a lot of times, most men, or sometimes men, they're not ready to really settle down, so they might still keep looking on other things that might interest them and everything. But at your age, I don't know, man, because granted, you don't look 50. Like, I thought you was like,
oh, bless you. Thank you. God is
way younger
good.
than that. So,
God is good. Thank you.
amen. All the time. So
Yes. And let me just say this to your point that, and it's okay to say that, right? It's okay to say, you know what? I didn't ask you to marry me, right? I didn't ask you. I just want to try to get to day one. Let's just try to get to day one. And let's try to set a solid foundation so we can build upon something.
That's true.
But it's okay to say, you know what? I just want to be friends, or I just say what you mean and mean what you say. That's all I'm saying. And what happens is you want to know why there are women formed out here. You want to know why there are women snapping out here, because you know once the heart gets involved, right? Then you want to pull back, and it's like, well, wait a minute. Let's just be honest. Let's be transparent. I think at this stage in the ball game, I have fewer years ahead of me than I do behind me. But I don't have a lot of time to play games, right?
Right. That's true.
I just think that things would be, this go a lot smoother if we just be real with one with another, and we know where we are, so we know we can make an informed decision on whether we're going to stop this.
Right.
You can't have your cake and eat it too, because then you're going to end up finding a woman that you don't even want to deal with.
That's true.
Hey, Steve, let me get your opinion on this whole thing.
That's
What
all.
the reason is.
They
Steve,
lie.
Well,
Turn.
I think she said men her age. First of all, men 50 or late 50 should be still playing the field. You're supposed to do that in your 20s and early 30s.
Yeah.
So at that stage in your life, you should be trying to find your woman where you can, settle down with or spend quality time with, not be playing the field, because in this life and time that we live in right now, life is short.
Yes.
You got very little room for errors. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Everybody wants somebody to love. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
So you should make up your mind, especially at 50, find your decent woman such as this lady is, and enjoy life.
Enjoy.
That's my opinion.
Enjoy
That's my
life.
opinion.
Hey, but let me ask everybody a question. Is it really fair to say that everybody who's single is playing the field? Unfortunately, some people may just have not been lucky enough to find the right one. Sometimes it's not that they don't want the right one. They just have not come across the right person that they want to commit their entire life to. So we can't necessarily say that maybe they're playing the field. Maybe they're trying to figure things out. What were you going to say, Tanya? Go ahead.
But your heart would tell you, though, Prince. Your heart would tell you.
So can I say something?
Yeah,
It told me. It told me.
So can I just would like to say, we always put emphasis on the right one. What is the right one? Because you got all these, you can have a grocery list of things that you want this man or this woman to be like, and they may not be any of those things, but they work for you. You guys work, you mesh, you come together. And that's what we really should be looking for. What are the things that brings you together? Stop looking for a right one, because if you get honest with yourself, you're not right yourself. So you done some things and said some things and treated some people some kind of way. So how about you stop? Let's not put emphasis on the right one. Let's just say the one that works for me.
Yeah, and then just for clarification, Prince, I'm not saying that they're all playing the field. I'm just saying that the ones that I've encountered, that it was just disheartening for me that we could go out, there were just expectations, and I'm like, okay, have you even applied for the job? You asking for the benefits package. You haven't even applied for the job. So my thing is, what company do you know that hands out the benefits book before you've even been hired? So my thing is,
you just said a mouthful right there. I have a whole concept about that. Go ahead down the bottom. You guys go ahead.
Thank you.
Ahead,
Thank you.
Marlon.
I have questions. All right, let's completely level set first, right? Let's level set. One, we all know, and women all know, all men aren't alike.
No.
Right? Now, at your age, and I'm not saying that you're old, but I'm just saying that you're not a teenager, right? You know what a man is like when they're on their way towards you. See what I'm saying? So you know what kind of man he is way before he get there. So one, you know if that man is kind of shifty or not, or there's some things that you need to find out. most of the time, if you're trying to date a man and you're saying you're trying to date a man who, if he's over 40 years old, you already know if he's established or not, right? Because it's not hard to look and see that. So I would examine what kind of man that you're drawing in and what kind of man that you're really looking for. Because women are smart. There's no way that you can look and tell whether I'm established or not. You know what I'm saying? Or someone else that kind of made it look like me is established or not. You know what I'm saying? There's plenty of things that you can find out on the first date.
Yes.
Where his head is, where his mind is, where if he's established, and then after that, you're like, you know what? First date done. I'm good. I'll move on to somebody else.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hey, Cassandra, let's hear from Cassandra. What do you think about this?
So it's funny that Dana brought that up, that was the first question, because that's been my cycle. I am currently 53, and I've been divorced from my daughter's father since about 2004, 2005. And I figured that when I got to this stage in my life, that I would find kind of the man that Marlon is talking about. Yes. The established man, the man that's ready, to be in a stable relationship. But I've been having the same problems that Dana is having. And I guess it's just confusing to me because I feel like I'm back when I was 18, 19, 20. Yeah. And it's funny because I put a post on Facebook a while ago and it said, the English is terrible, but it said, dudes be 40 and 50 years old and still playing games with a good woman. Man, grow up, you almost dead. And so I got a lot of comments about that because I think some men got in their feelings about it, but it's real because Dana just brought up the first thing. So I guess my question is to the men, and I'm not sure if there are age range, but my question to the men, and it kind of doesn't work for the married men because they got it and they figured it out. But my question is, why are you still acting like you're 25? Like Dana said, we got more years in front of us than behind us. So that's just my question. We're not 25 anymore.
Okay, well, let me throw out something. Go ahead. What'd you say?
Okay, go ahead. No, I was going to say, I can tell you that.
Let's talk about. Go ahead. No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
No, I wanted to kind of answer her question. First of all, once you reach a certain age as a man, you're not a spring chicken, right? You can't do the same things that you did way back. You know what I'm saying? And so if you have a man who, say he has not been married and he's been doing this whole time, not married, dating, never settled down, most of the time, he's not going to settle down, right? He doesn't know how, right? If he hasn't done it already, he does not know how to settle down. And let me just go back to the demographics about 18-1 and 10-1. That's really not true. If you go really look at it, like there's a closer balance to the number of men and women that are born and live. What we see is that we do have a lot of men that are incarcerated, or some men that we may not get the stats for. But otherwise, there isn't this whole 10-1 or 18-1 that most men think about. It really isn't. But so that'll be my answer, is that most of the time, if they haven't been settled down before, they're not going to be settled down now. It's going to be very different.
Can I say something to that, Deidre, before you say something? So then my question to you, Marlon, is this. What I've been running across is men that have been married and have been hurt, and they are just so standoffish and they don't want to do that. So what do we do with that man? I would rather have a man that's never been married and never experienced it and trying to figure out how to experience than have a hurt man. It's nothing like a hurt grown man.
Most women do. Most women want that.
I get it. And then hurt people hurt.
Right.
I don't want no hurt man. I'm sorry.
Most women want a man that's never been married, like a man wants a virgin.
What is that, Sean?
I said most women want a man that's never been married, never been touched, so they can mold. Just like a man wants a virgin, But actually not possible.
Right. And so I can tell you this, Cassandra, when you're trying to get a man, you're talking about a man that's been hurt already. So it depends, right? So everybody can heal at some point in time, right? Depends on how that man was hurt, how deep his wounds are, and if he's ready to be healed, right? So I would say if you found a man that he's a good man, he's been hurt, just be a little patient with him and encourage healing for him, right? Because if he was hurt, he probably was a good man and got hurt by somebody who, you know what I'm saying? And then if he heals, then he might be a good man for you.
Amen.
But a lot of times, women do not want.
Go ahead, Sean. Go ahead and say, and then I want to say something after Sean. Go ahead, Sean.
I'm sorry. A lot of times, women cannot be patient because they feel as though if you step into their world, you automatically just come automatic. Everything should be there. You should know what I want. You should know what my ideas are. You should know everything. And so sometimes the gentleman doesn't know that he's still hurt. Sometimes the gentleman doesn't know that he's still going through stuff, you know. And then, you know, I don't know. I would say that it takes the female to recognize that sometimes, you know, but it's all odd.
Let me say something. Oh, go ahead, Derek. Go ahead, Derek, and then I wanted to say something to that.
No, I was going to say that as I listen to what everybody is saying, a lot of what we're talking about is what most people talk about, you know, the different dynamics of relationships. But the truth of the matter is, I think we're dealing more with the reactions of relationship versus the root of the problem. The difference between, I call it the root and reaction theory. And what happens is, it's not an excuse, but unfortunately, we got to go way back and start at the rooted level. See, what you guys are experiencing are some of the fruit are bad. You know, some of the men are bad. Some of the ladies are bad. Bad fruit because they've been hurt, they've been wounded, they've been divorced, they've gone through a lot of different issues with relationships, so they've been scarred. And it's not that men are the only ones that's wounded. Men and women, both, as long as you're a human being, you're going to be wounded because of disappointments in your life. But I think what we need to focus on is, I mean, in high school, we have math, science, history, but nobody teaches us relationship education. Nobody talks to us about how to be a husband, how to be a wife. You know, because just because you're a wife doesn't mean, just because you're a bride doesn't mean that you're a wife. And just because you're a groom doesn't mean that you're a husband. They're two different type of things. I think a lot of people have titles and positions, but we need to go way back in the past and deal with the issues that we've had as little boys and little girls. We talked about who run the world. Who run the world are actually the little boys and girls for real, not the adults, because little kids deal with purity and honesty. They deal with the pure side of themselves. As we become adults, we're the ones who start putting on these fake personas about what we think we want to be and what society expects us to be. And then later on, I want to come back and address what Dana said. But Lisa, I'll pitch it over to you. Go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, you know, based on what everybody is saying, that, you know, it does go back to getting to the root of things. And this is one of those questions that we threw up. And of course, when we throw out questions, these are just what people think men are, how people think men are, how people think women are. But as far as even self-checking, going to counseling, those kind of things, because there is a difference in how men perceive going to counseling as opposed to women. So a lot of times, and I'm just kind of throwing that out there to what Sean had mentioned, is that a lot of times women do some self-checking. They go sit down and talk to somebody. We shoot the breeze about what's going on and how we feel. And men sometimes, you know, don't do that. So when women come to the, and I'll call it the game, because I'll call it the game. But when we come to the game, we're actually coming with some things we've learned, some tools we're trying to use, you know, and it can be pluses and minuses to it, but we come ready to go in. We want to do the little quizzes that you're supposed to do, to write down on a piece of paper. We want to do all that stuff, but men are like, why we got to do all that? I mean, what's all that for? And I think that's when we have to get back being okay to get deep into ourselves.
What you just said, though, if I'm cutting you off, I apologize. It's like a little delay. But Lisa, what you said makes a lot of sense because, and this is again not an excuse, but a lot of people don't understand that women are raised since little girls to play house, play with presets, to play house. They have the concept in their heads about husbands, wives, babies. Men play with video games and guns. And unfortunately, nobody is grooming the young men to become better husbands. You know what I'm saying? So most men start off late in the game. They don't really understand the whole concept of being a man, maybe sometime into their late 20s or 30s. Women have known all their life how to run a household, how to manage money, how to watch their little brothers and sisters, how to take care of the family. So unfortunately, we put more emphasis on our daughters than we do our sons. I think that now, for those of us who have children, we need to educate the boys as much as the girls about household responsibility. How to be a husband, how to be what, and they don't teach us this in school. So you're gonna have to teach your children in your own family and we always tell the daughters, keep your legs crossed, be a lady, but we tell the guys, hey, you can go outside, son, and do your thing, ride your bicycle. That's where it all begins. And so men are way behind in the process of relationships because we've been groomed just to play around, play with guns, play with video games, ride your bicycle. There's nothing that we do as little boys that prepare us to be fathers or husbands. So I think we need to maybe implement some kind of education for the family, for those of you who have younger kids. Start while they're young, educate them about the responsibility of boys versus girls. Somebody else wants to jump in. Who was that?
And that's a great point. That's a great point because I think about my son who's now married. He's an adult man and has been married 2 years in the game. And I'm so grateful that one, I put the work in and did the work in to get myself healed so that he could not repeat the mistakes that he saw in my failed marriage with his dad. However, he has grandparents. My parents were all, before my mom passed, were married almost 64 years. So the example a lot of times is set. I think that a lot of times as a woman, and I can tell you this, when I say I put the work in, my eyes were enlightened when I found out it's not mutual interests that sustain a relationship, it's mutual values. And most times people don't know what they want. So they think, oh, you like red? Oh, I like red too. Oh, you like no, it's what you value. And then when you find out when you're in the relationship and then it's going north and south, and you wonder where it went wrong because that value discussion was never had. And a lot of times men see women, that women see men as projects. They're not Build-A-Bear projects. They are real human beings.
Hey, Marlon, I'd like to hear from your wife. Let's see what your wife has to say, man. Yeah, because I want to hear her perspective on things. What do you think? How do you pronounce your name, first of all?
Well,
okay.
Algiers.
Yeah.
Huh?
Oh, well, when it comes down to it, I agree with some of what you said, a good bit of it, but all women aren't taught how to be wise either. There's no classes for us to be a good wife, and it really depends on your parents. It really depends on how your parents raised you, and some parents will raise you and all of the kids the same way, and everybody learns to cook, whether they're a male or a female, in the family, and everybody learns how to clean up behind themselves. There are situations where there are a lot of single mothers with kids who, when they raise their sons, my son don't have to do anything. He's the king in the household. She don't teach them how to take care of anything, and they feel that they are to be waited on hand and foot when they do get into a relationship because they mama did that to them. You know what I'm saying? So there's so many different dynamics on how we are raised. Right now, we have 4 kids. We raise all ours differently according to their personalities, but we make sure that we instill into each and every one of them, the boys and the girls, because we have 2 boys, 2 girls. We make sure that we are showing them how they are supposed to be in a marriage. And so our boys know how to cook, and we're teaching them how to cook, and make sure that they serve their sisters.
Real quick, I'm about to put somebody on blast. Who's typing?
I know y'all can hear somebody type, but I can hear some noise.
Right.
Hey, but Dana, I want to ask
y'all
Dana.
Y'all going? I think we get some feedback.
In terms of what we're talking about, Dana, give us a solution and we can move on to the next question. What do you think the solution for this issue that you're having? What is your solution in terms of men and women meeting each other and being very serious, keeping it real, especially when you're, 30, 40, 50 years old at that particular time. What is it? Let's talk about. So, what is your solution?
And I think that just to get to stage one, I mean, that's just the foundational. That's the, you're getting to know each other, and that takes time, right? I mean, a wise woman taught me one time that patience is the weapon to force deception to reveal itself. So the thing is that a lot of times we rush into it and we make assumptions instead of, first of all, we need to know what we want. And then what is the end game? So like if don't go into a relationship or try to even start a relationship if you're not desiring marriage or that's what you're desiring. I think that we have to be open and honest about what it is we want. But I think a lot of times.
Because everybody doesn't want marriage. Right.
I'm saying, say that again?
No, I was agreeing with you. I said, but at the same time, everybody's not always looking for marriage. So
that's
whatever
right.
It is, you just need to be real.
Absolutely correct. 100. So I just think that, there isn't, I wish I had a crystal ball and could say what the solution is, but I think that we have to get a point, at least at my stage in the game, that, let's just be open and honest about what it is we want or where we're trying to go. And then we know how to get, and let's just enjoy the ride, right? Let's not have any hidden agendas. And I think that if you just enjoy learn how to enjoy each other, you'll find out which way you want to go, so.
And let's make sure we get the guys have to sit and get out their question too.
Yeah, that's right. Go ahead. Prince, we're going to go to Prince. Hey, somebody is typing. I don't know who it is in the background. I can hear typing going on. So.
My hand's right here. I'm not typing.
The microphone off. Okay.
Everybody showing their hands like it
All right, go ahead, Prince.
Yeah, and I can't figure out who it is. So.
What is your solution, brother?
To me, my solution is going into it because I know they always say you find love when you're not looking for it. You know what I'm saying? So if you're going into the relationship looking like, you know what, I think this gonna be the one. I think this gonna be the one. Like that was my problem. I kept going on date after date after date. It'll go good, then they just ghost. I'm looking like, I thought we just had a good time. So when I went into a relationship, you know what, I'm not looking for nothing. I'm gonna go and we're gonna have a good time. And that's when the chemistry started happening. And to help you out too, like you'll find the one when you're like pretty much like 100%. Because God makes you whole, you're gonna attract somebody else that's whole. They're not gonna be like a piece. They'll be like they're evenly yoked. So when you meet that person, it'll be an evenly yoked. It won't be like you're good, but that person is still trying to get themselves together. So I would say, man, work on you. Get your walk with God right. I know from hearing you, I can already hear you got a good walk with God. Just pray, ask God for strength, guidance, you know what I'm saying, discernment, so that when somebody tries to act like they are who you want them to be, you can see it right through. And you know what? You just putting on the front because you know what I want to hear, you know what I want to see. And so then you can kind of be 2 steps ahead and play chess and not checkers.
Hey, look, I want to welcome Mike and Lisa to the show. Hey, guys. Mike and Lisa, how y'all doing?
Hey.
Have you guys heard what we've been talking about?
Huh?
Oh, I think you all would have worked with the noise.
Right. That's what it is.
Oh.
Hey, Mike. So basically what we're saying is what's the solution for guys and women coming together without playing games? At 50 and older, you pretty much should have your game tight about what you're looking for. What is your solution to that? Can you hear us? Mike, can you hear us?
You have to unmute yourself.
You have to unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself. I keep saying move.
Okay, right, here we go.
There we go.
I'm sorry.
So give us the solution, Mike. Mike got the camera.
Probably, you get older and you just get tired of playing the games, I guess. So you start to look for somebody and someone that you have something that you have things in common with. You're on an even keel.
Yeah.
I think I answered the question correctly.
Hey, no, you did. Somebody. I just saw a question.
The answer.
Go ahead.
But I got the answer.
Right. Okay, go ahead.
to stop him from being a player. You
I
got
wasn't never no player. I was always shy.
Hold up. Hold up.
Hey, did you say that?
Hold up. Hold up.
That
Oh
WAP.
my goodness.
Worship and praise.
Self-proclaimed
Worship
players.
Hey,
and
ladies,
praise.
it is
Hallelujah.
officially
Self-proclaimed
on.
players. Hold
Now
up.
the game has begun.
Ladies, hold up.
Like
Hey, look,
sometimes the worship
let the game
will rain
begin.
down. Look at God. Worship will
Hold up.
rain down.
I can't even
And
tell who
then
said
you
that. Who
get the
said that?
praise. Okay, I'm just saying. I got that WAP. That's why I got that ring. You know what I'm saying?
Oh Lord, not the WAP,
Praise it
Hey,
up
look,
here.
get out of here. Get out of here.
not the WAP.
Hey, look. Hey,
Okay.
look. It's a lot of ladies that got that WAP
That's
in the
nasty.
divorce court.
That's
So it don't make
nasty.
it-
Okay. So I
Hey,
think
look. The game has officially begun.
so. Now I guess we
What you
need
say,
to
ladies?
have the fellas. And I don't know if we wanted to. Fellas, do you all have a question, or did you want to pick one from the list we have? Shariva has. No. Do you know some of the things that the fellas asked? Or fellas, since y'all are right here, we want all the fellas to ask some kind of questions, or you know what? Since Dana threw one, Dana threw a doozy. Okay. Dana threw a huge question.
Dana's got a finish.
Dana took us in. So since we in here, you know, fellas, what is a question that y'all have for women that you're just kind of like, I need to know, because it's driving me crazy. I need to know, what is y'all problem? And I mean, I'm saying, what's y'all problem? Like, you know, funny, but not funny. But yeah, what's y'all problem? And it's some married people. Look, it's married people and single people on here. So I know that those questions exist. I know they do. Okay. Come on, fellas.
All right, so who's gonna be the one to throw the?
All right, I got one.
Okay.
How
Go ahead,
come, like, when we go to the bathroom, right, fellas, you know, and we ain't thinking about it. We go in there, we stand, we do what we do. We flush, we wash our hands, and we come on out the bathroom. Now, it could be in the middle of the night. And, you know, your lady might get up and go in there behind you and she fall in. What's the big deal?
You said, wait a minute.
Did you say what's the big deal?
We not want our butts to be
Ain't the water clean? The water is clean.
Are you?
We don't want no
Are you
WAB.
sure that's
We
the
don't want no WAB.
So what is the
we don't
question?
want WAB. We don't want the WAB. Okay.
I just caught on to that. That's cute.
Hey, so look. Hey, look. Go ahead. Hey, look, Mike. So what exactly is the question, though? What is the question?
The question is, why y'all get mad at us when y'all fall in?
I mean, it's so simple to put the
ladies?
That was a question.
down.
That was a question, right?
I mean,
That was
I think
it was a question.
obvious though, because men wouldn't want to fall in either, right? So I mean, I think that's the obvious. But is your
But
question?
see, y'all get mad now. Y'all go to the bathroom before we do. We come in behind y'all, and the seat ain't up. And then when we make the mistake of thinking the seat up in the middle of the night, because you know we kind of discombobulated when we go in there in the middle of the night, and we trying to do it in the dark. We know what it's supposed to be. But,
Is
you know,
discombobulation having to do with age or something? I'm just asking.
no,
I get up to go and tinkle in the middle of the night. I'm not discombobulated. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, but y'all don't raise the seat up for us.
No, the rules are you close the entire lid down when you go, because when you flush, you don't want all that stuff coming
Yeah,
up.
but y'all don't. Sometimes y'all don't even check to see if the lid is up. Y'all mess around and go on top of the lid.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that was kind of true.
Thank you.
It's about their business. Right?
Wait a minute. Did she say? She just said that that's kind of true. Okay, so I tell you what. Maybe this is the first one that we can come to some kind of compromise. I mean, I get it. I'm just not understanding why it's so hard to just flip. I mean, how discombobulated are you that you can't?
So what is the solution?
But I'm just, it takes more to lift it up than put it down. I'm just saying, you know, gravity and all of that. But I'm just saying, where we at with this? Are y'all?
I'm just saying.
I mean, you did it before you flip it.
Look, let me just say this right here.
When we get done.
After 18 years of marriage,
Hold on, guys. One at a time.
20 years, I pick my battles. Right? That is not a battle that I want to fight. So I'm putting everything down.
Right.
If there was two toilet lids that all of it going down, right? Put it all down.
That's right.
And I save that battle to fight somewhere else. So I just, in my mind, even if I'm discombobulated because I'm up in age, I'm gonna put everything down. It may hit hard, but everything going down. And you gonna be complaining about me making noise, but I'm like, everything down though. It's all down. And I'm gonna pick up.
Marlon has a good point because even though we're laughing about it, but the truth of the matter is, what he's basically saying in turn is he learned how to speak the language of his mate. When you learn the language of the person that you live with, are we gonna get divorced over a toilet seat? Or do we have bigger battles to fight? So, I mean, whatever your mate, however they need to be loved, whatever the idiosyncrasies are around the house, you have to sit back and talk about it and not just argue about it, but learn how to communicate peacefully without violence, without cursing each other out, without talking about each other's mama and like the last girlfriend, your last boyfriend. The bottom line is,
you talking about my mama? That's it.
Put the toilet down, put the toilet seat down, and move on in the relationship because a lot of people get divorced over small, silly things like that. They add up over a period of time.
So, and that's
I
before
agree.
we.
I got
before we
one.
move
I got
on-
a question.
before
I got a
we-
question.
Wait a minute. Just before we move on for that, let's do
Hold
a
up,
quick.
John. Hold up.
I knew that we were going to do a couple of giveaways before this hour is out. So we're going to throw in a couple of giveaways and then Sean, hold that because we're coming right back to you. But I wanted to actually do a giveaway. We have a few. And yes, since we're talking about communication and, relationships and things like that, I have some books. I also have, they're good books though. So y'all, pay attention. We talking about communication. We trying to learn you something today. And ourselves too, because I bought a book for myself, so don't judge. Okay, so we have books. We also have a couple of gift cards for people. So I wanted to actually, and I thought about bringing the panelists into this real quick. We're trying to figure out, and Shariva, we actually talked about how we would pick who might win the first gift. Did we have one of those things that we said there were some certain qualifications? Can you share what the qualifications were, and then we're going to try to give away a first gift? You're on mute. I mean, you're on, yeah.
Yeah, we can't hear.
So one of the giveaways were going to be the rules were to like Dove Style Magazine on Facebook, to subscribe to Lisa Dove Washington on YouTube, and to follow DSM Dove Style Magazine on Instagram page. And that link is actually on the event as well as on Dove Style Magazine.
Okay, so those are the qualifications for being able to win a prize. But I wanted to maybe throw out a question or something for people who are tuning in. I will share real quick and let you pick once we pick a name. So I think didn't we decide on some things that we wanted to that would qualify them if they did the Dove Style Magazine and things like that. Maybe the person that was coming from the furthest. I was trying to see who was the first person to comment on the live when we went live. So, and what we'll do is verify that you all have done all the things you're supposed to do. Okay, you got to follow the rules. But the first person who actually responded on the live was from what I seen, Shariva, you can check me. Victoria Holland.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Victoria Holland, you're actually going to win one of our giveaways. So congratulations to you. I think we're going to go ahead and make sure that you've done all the qualifications. And we have actually, I want to throw out there real quick, and then we're going to get back to some conversation. We have 3 more after this, but I wanted to share with you all what we have. We have a book, and it's actually called The 5 Languages of Appreciation in the Workplace. So this is not all just about love relationships. It's actually about all kinds of relationships. So this is a good book to get. And Victoria, maybe you can in the chat mention to what you would prefer. We put it in the mail for you. This is also another book that we have. This one is 4 Things Women Want from a Man. Okay. So fellas, this still is stuff y'all can go out there and get. It's good stuff. Y'all, reading is fundamental. I'm trying to tell you. Okay, so we have a couple more. This one right here is actually Mars and Venus on a Date. This is a good book. John Gray, if you all are familiar with the original one. This one is pretty good. We also have, this is one of my favorites, but this one is Men Are Like Waffles, Women Are Like Spaghetti. This is a very good and interesting book. So you all take notes on this one. This is a good one, and it's true, y'all. Listen. Okay. The last thing that I have, and I have a couple of these, but for couples too, if you are in a relationship, but these are actually coloring books. Coloring books are really good for, just connecting with each other, sitting down and get you some coloring pens. It's very relaxing. I think Dirk and I talked about how coloring, I was telling him I love coloring books. And I know guys are probably like, really coloring, but I'm here to tell you.
Those are pretty good, yeah.
That is good stuff. So we have those and a couple of gift certificates. So Victoria Holland is our first winner. And then we're going to get back into it, and we're going to give 3 more before the evening is over. But thank you so much, Victoria, for coming in. And we appreciate everybody.
Right.
So y'all, please take care of those things you're supposed to do. And we'll be shouting out some more people and coming up with some questions for other winners. So, Sean, I hope you held that point so we can come back to you.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
absolutely.
Sean, you got it.
Okay. Well, this really is with the single people. Not too much married people, but and speaking of the bathroom, why is it that when I go to the bathroom and got to do number 2, why you got to sit in there with me to talk? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm never gonna come out. Like I'm never gonna come out of there. You know what I'm saying? First of all, it stinks so bad. I don't even want to be in there. But you love me so much that you love to stink on me. I don't understand.
Okay. Well, okay, I can probably answer that one for you. I mean, I know it's not for the married couple.
Wow.
I was single at one time, but I'm promising you that is probably more of an individual love situation because I'm not sure I know about that kind of love. Yeah, I'm thinking we could probably take a vote on here, and yeah, you got it. You can go all by yourself. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know, ladies, did y'all want to comment on Sean's question? Because I don't think I don't think I've ever had that problem before. So
hey, so Sean, you're talking about women trying to conversate while you're in the bathroom. Communicate.
Exactly.
All right, ladies,
and then we go to the bathroom, we don't communicate. But why is it, I just want to sit in here and I just want to tell you how I feel. Can't you tell me how you feel when I get out that mug? So that's what I'm saying.
Ladies,
that is funny, man.
First of all, it's I don't even want to be in there. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, but yeah, I got you. We got you.
So my question is,
hey, look, y'all get back, bro. Come on, man.
Yeah, then we're gonna come off the bathroom and we're gonna move into another room. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, ladies,
let's go to the next question. Hey, Sharif, another question.
Can I add to that?
No, you can't answer that. He was asking the female.
No. I don't want to answer it. I just want to add to it.
Well, I got
okay.
After this is
a question for the men and the women.
It's not a bathroom thing, is it?
No.
Okay.
This is the natural body question. Men fart, women poop. What's the difference?
No. Just ladylike.
Because we have years. We actually
women poop. What's the difference?
We shift gears when we fart. We shift. We go. We go. But we go like that gear.
Shift. Hey, Lisa, let's go to the next question. What's the next question?
Yeah, we shift gears. We shift. Because our stuff was nasty.
Okay. So wait. Hold up. So this is why. Look, I'm getting ready to explain to you why Dana's issues were so valid, because this is where you all are concerned about relationships. We need to come out the bathroom, okay? And we're going to talk about some other things
on the couch.
But it ain't always in the bathroom.
So let's go. Well, wherever you are, but the things you all are talking about is why, it may be.
I was just trying to help out. I was just trying to distinguish helping out. That's all.
So let's move on.
Next question.
boom. I mean, we shift.
Hey, Lisa.
So
Does
let's
Sharifa
go
have
to the
another
ladies.
question? Let's move to this.
Sharifa, did we have any questions that the ladies were asking?
Yes. So one of the questions a lady asked is, why do men expect that the woman should be the one to keep in touch?
Oh, that's a good one. Silence.
I mean, I would go on to say that I don't think it's so much about who keeps in touch. I think everything should be equally done. Boundaries border. I think that both people, if both people are mature, they should establish the fact that both of them want to make deposits in a relationship. It's like a bank account. You can't make a withdrawal if you don't make deposits. So I think we have to make communication deposits and let the other person know that you're going all in. And so you want to make sure that you guys are on the same page, because the other person doesn't want to be the only one who's making deposits, and then the scales are unbalanced in the relationship. So I think that that's something that needs to be established early on. So to me, it doesn't make a difference who called first. What matters to me is who calls consistently. That's the most important thing to me. Dana, what you think about that, Dana? Dana, can you hear me?
Okay. Yep, I can hear you. I got you. And it goes back to my first point, that if you don't discuss those types of things, you don't lay the plan. You don't have a playing field, a foundation from which to build on. You don't know the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing. Then you're doomed from day one. But I think that, I mean, we also have to look at, I mean, at this stage in the game, when we're having to have those kinds of conversations, then something else is wrong. There's a deeper issue. There's a deeper problem.
So I would say that men and women communicate in a different way. We can't expect for a man to communicate the very same way that we communicate, that a woman would communicate. So I would say there are some men that just don't want to talk on the phone, right? So you call them on the phone, you want to talk on the phone, but that's not where they're going to communicate the best at. However, if they're going to stay on the phone and listen to you, that's good. However, if you're face to face with them, they may communicate a little bit better in a face-to-face situation where you may be like, well, I want to do this, I got some other things to do. You just got to understand the balance in that, and that when I'm ready to communicate to you and I got something I really want to talk about, I really need you to listen to me right at that time. And we need to make sure that they know, like, I need you to listen to me right now. You know what I'm saying? So, but we can't expect for men and women to communicate the same way. I just want to put that out.
But he's a phone talker. So I knew that when we first got together.
Does it have to be the same way? Go to a foreign country. You don't have to speak the same way. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
When we
first got, I knew he was a phone talker. So he didn't mind talking on the phone and having a conversation back and forth, because he could stay on the phone with his mama for 2.5, 3, 4, 5 hours. You know what I'm saying? So I knew that he liked to stay on the phone. So he liked to talk, but then I wasn't the one that liked to talk on the phone. You know what I'm saying? I like other terms of communication. The other forms of communication really work for me better than being on the phone. You know what I'm saying? So I had to figure out how to stay, communicate with him, on the phone, and get those that lane of communication open in a way that worked for his style versus my style, because we were kind of flip-flopped. I'm not the phone, but he is. So I was like, okay, I gotta call you. All right.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask y'all a question?
Go ahead, John. Go ahead.
How old are y'all?
Who?
How long y'all been together?
Who? Us?
We've been together for 20 years.
So you are not a phone talker?
No.
Really?
No.
Hey, but you don't have to talk on the phone if you live together, so it don't make a difference.
I like to talk on the phone.
What I'm saying is, when they got together, together, she was not a phone talker. I missed it.
See, they caught that. You caught that.
I missed
That's
that.
right, Aldris.
Hey, look, everybody communicate in different ways. What's most important is not really about the phone. I mean, it seems like we're getting caught up in stuff like the toilet, the phone. Those are reactions to the problem.
No.
I agree with that.
Reason why I say that, Dejo, is because is that like back in the day, that's all we had was telephone. I'm a telephone stalker,
Right.
so I can't do a lot of texting and Facebooking. After I could do it for so long, but after a while, I got to just talk. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know what the person sounds like. So like I think I mean I don't know 40 and over or whatever. I just would think. I just think that.
I don't think it's right or wrong way. You have to do whatever is right for you.
Oh, you're not 40?
She ain't 40 yet. There's almost a 10 year.
Got you. Got you. Say no more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Microphone, Sean. Microphone.
That's funny, man. All right. So what's the next question? Let's move on.
Okay, so that was actually a lady's question, right? No, that was a who went last? Was that the fellas or the ladies?
The fellas went last.
The fellas went last. Okay. So the ladies, what's your what question do you have that you want to know why men do what they do? I actually had one I wanted to throw out, and I wanted to know. My question is, when it comes to conversation, since this is all about communication for me, and I agree, Marlon, that we all communicate very differently. So one of the things I wanted to ask was where I run into with men is when we're talking or the lady says that she wants to, hey, we need to sit down and talk. What is it that men think is getting ready to happen when your wife or your girlfriend or whoever says, we need to have a talk? Yeah, I mean, is the world about to come to an end? What's about to happen? I just want to know because y'all have strange reactions to conversation.
Yeah, I got an answer for that.
Wait a minute, Mike.
So I can tell you what men are afraid of is not having the answer.
Okay.
Okay. So whatever you might be asking, either they're afraid of not having an answer or they don't want to answer.
Okay.
Right?
So who else said they had an answer?
Hey, can somebody turn that microphone on?
Me.
Somebody typing. Go ahead, John. Go ahead.
But a lot of times we thinking like the worst case scenario because it might be in the middle of the day. Hey, we need to talk. You know, like, dang. So you starting to calculate. All right, did I walk into the car? I mean, did I cook? Did I clean? You know what I'm saying? Did I buy her favorite drink? So you just think about the worst case scenario. And a lot of times it might not be bad, but we just go to thinking, it's gonna end up being bad.
So y'all automatically think it's bad when we say we want to talk.
I know I do. I don't speak for all of them, but I normally think it's something wrong or something happened.
Absolutely, you're absolutely correct.
Well, at one time when a woman came to a man and said, I think we need to talk, yeah, we probably knew what the answer was and we didn't want to hear that answer. And I ain't gonna go into detail about what it was, but every man on here can sympathize.
Well,
I think it depends on your track record.
Well, yeah, because if that's the first thing you thinking when somebody says they need to have a conversation with you, then I think you need to be having a conversation with yourself about why that's the first thing you thinking. I'm just saying. But like Sean, what do you think when you've been in married or in a relationship? What was the first thing you thought when she said we need to sit down and talk? You on mute, I think.
Yeah, I don't hear. I can't hear anything.
Oh, we can't hear you.
I'm laughing at the question at the bottom of the screen.
CJ, okay, because we have some people that can. Sean, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I just thought I was in trouble. I did something or whatever, and she just brings it to my attention. But it wasn't but to me it wasn't like a threat or anything.
It wasn't a thrill. Okay.
No, it wasn't a threat.
Oh, was it? So
CJ. He said a threat.
Right. Oh, a threat. He said a threat.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess so many all the guys. I mean, CJ, what do you think when that comment comes out? Are you thinking, oh boy, here we go? We can't hear you.
CJ, we can't hear you.
I think she's trying to. Oh, there you go.
There you go. Well, yeah, I think you got some complaints about you, I guess.
I think that's the honest truth, but
it is. It
but
is.
ladies, okay, but I get that that's what you all think, but I'm gonna offer something out there, and Dirk, you tell me, you kind of help me out with this. I'm going to suggest that even though that is actually what you all are thinking, to come to an understanding that that's a lot of times that's not actually what's happening. At times we just like to talk. I mean, well, except for Naisha, she don't want to talk. I get but we like to talk, and sometimes it's about how our day was going, or something we experienced during the day, or whatever it is. So I'm thinking that we could probably meet in the middle on something and say, if you don't come to the table when that's said, thinking that there's something negative, then maybe you can be more open to at least hearing what it is before you're already getting into defensive mode because you don't want to have a conversation. You know what I'm saying?
All right, so let me say that. Let me interject here, Lisa. My whole thing, I don't think it's so much that men don't want to talk, men don't talk, or they don't love to talk. I think it has a lot to do with the past history of conversations. If the person communicates a certain kind of way, and there's a lot of negative, very defensive conversations, that kind of thing. Every time the woman comes to the man or the man comes to the woman, they're going to be defensive because of the past history of communication. If you know that the person comes to you in a very loving way, in a very constructive way, a very developmental kind of way, then you're going to always be open to receive it. But if the woman or the man is always nagging or always complaining and always being negative, then you're going to always assume, an expectation that they're always going to be negative. So sometimes that the present argument is only as good as the past history.
But don't men think that every time that a woman says that she's nagging?
Well, I mean, that's a whole nother level, though. If a man feels that way all the time, that's because they probably have to go back and do communication training. Because a lot of people, even though it seems very simple, a lot of people really don't know how to communicate. They always assume it'll just work itself out. But it's a skill. It's a skill set to learning how to negotiate, how to communicate. And once you understand that skill set, like any other skill set, that's why a lot of people are failing in relationships, because we assume that the relationship just takes care of itself. You have to go in and put forth the work. You got to exercise your relationship just like you do your muscles. You got to go in and develop it with information, training. And if you don't do that, it's always going to fall to the ground. It's going to be a disaster every time.
Okay, so we got a good question from somebody who's watching. And this is for the guys and the girls, especially the guys. So for the guys, since that's how you all feel, define what nagging is, because it could be different for different men, I'm assuming. So what is the definition of nagging?
Never.
Well, that's
for one.
Go ahead.
No, I just said it a few minutes ago. I mean, nagging, people always have the stereotype that nagging is associated with women, but brothers can nag too. Nagging is just another word for saying something that I really don't want to hear. That's all it really means. So it's something different for everybody.
But what I'm trying to get to is, so what is defined? Like, give an example of what is considered nagging, because for
nagging would be. Go ahead.
And it's
nagging would be a person that repeats something over and over and over again.
So nagging is if you have to repeat something.
If you come to anybody and say, hey, look, we need to talk, that's not after that, you're not going to explain how your day went. Like, oh, we need to talk. Oh yeah, my day was good. No, when you come at them with those 4 letters and say, hey, look, we need to talk, you in trouble. Something you done did, something you didn't think about doing, or whatever. Maybe I want to go to Jamaica. That's something totally different. But when you come out with those 4 letters, those 4 words, hey, look, that I just add that.
I agree with that.
Hey, we need to talk. First of all, you off the back. You can't help but get
the right. Sean, you are correct. Because every time I say, baby, we need to talk, I was pregnant. Or I wanted to spend his money in a great way, a grandiose way. Or like I know when I say we need to talk, this man starts sweating. This man, be like, what did you do? What did you spend? Where we going? What you buy? What pair of shoes? It's he knows all.
Valerie.
Valerie, I like that, Val. That's what I was about to say.
Because
hey, look,
Well,
it's
a
all
lot of
about the way
times,
that you communicate with the person.
right?
Saying, we need to talk. Maybe we should say, baby, I need to understand something more clearly. How can you help me? Valerie just said that one of the questions. I mean, one of the comments right there.
That's real danger too.
But
Right, you know?
a lot of times when you use your approach, it could be a soft approach, and all you got to do is say something wrong, and they go blow a gasket.
Right.
It's the truth.
That's true.
It's the truth. Because I ask my wife every day.
Well, that's the personality.
I ask my wife every day when she comes home from work, baby, how was your day? So I'm trying to set the tone. If you got anything you want to say to me, that's your opportunity. While I'm cooking her
It's all
dinner.
about how you do it. You know?
Yeah, it is. It is.
That's true. That's true.
So let me just say this right here. I really don't
Right.
Yeah, you hear that? I really don't mind the can we have a talk, right? As much as I used to, right? Because before I know it was for something that I did or didn't do right? Because I was all over the place. Now I don't mind it as much.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that worries me about baby, we need to talk is if it's something that she's about to say or tell me that I cannot solve for her, right? And so one of the things that I have to do constantly in myself is sometimes you just don't try to solve everything. I need to step back and just listen and hear it out. No matter how bad I'm ready to go into action, I don't need to take action all the time, right? So at this stage, it's not necessarily about what I've done, right? Because if it's something that I've done, I'm like, okay, let me know what I've done because I want to hear those things now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because when I hear those things now, to me, that's like great. I got something that I need to change, and once I change it, I know I'm better at that point.
That's good.
I'm fine with that.
I like that.
Yeah, my worry is like, is she gonna tell me something that's bothering her or she wants to do that I'm not able to solve? What do I do? Sometimes I gotta tie my hands up and like, don't do nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
I love that, Marlon.
I think
That is beautiful, Marlon.
I think
word
that goes
need is
back
negative.
to setting boundaries. You know, I think a lot of times that as men are by nature, they're executioners, right? So when women come to men, we don't necessarily want you to solve it. Sometimes we do, like to your point, Marlon, we want you to just listen, but I think you need to communicate that. You have to inspect what you expect. So the thing is that when you set those kind of boundaries, and then also, Lisa, to your point, timing is also key. So if I know that my man is getting ready to go out the door and he's thinking about, what he has to do when he gets to the door, that's not the time to tap into him and say, hey, baby, we need to talk. But it also it goes back to knowing who you're dealing with. And when you know that, that's what I'm saying. That discovery phase is everything. It'll tell you whether you want to continue or not.
That's true.
Right. It's the foundation. I agree.
Absolutely.
Right,
I think the word need is of the devil.
Say that again, Sean.
I think the word need is of the devil.
He said the word need is of the devil.
I need for you to pick up your clothes. I need for you to go get the kids. I need for you. Hey, we need to talk. I think that's of the devil. I think that should be erased out of relationships forever.
That's why they need to change the approach.
Well, that's a good point, though. Right, that's right. That's what Dirk said. I think that's a good point because that doesn't work for you because it seems more of a demand than we're going to have this one-on-one conversation. So I get it, and really that boils down to learning how you say it. Learning your tone. Well, not only what you say and how you say it, but even your tone says a lot. And I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Okay, so ladies, I'm gonna put us out there a little bit because we already know when we come in for some stuff, and sometimes we'll try to soften it up. But for real, we look. I already see you, Algiers. I see you. But we already know when we get ready to get into your stuff. So even when we trying to soften it up, you know, I ain't good at it sometimes. So I'm just confessing. So sometimes I'm actually like, we need to talk, because not that it's something bad, but it's and I guess I don't think about how I'm saying it and how he's going to receive it. But that's when I think on all ends, we probably everybody needs to, as Marlon was saying, just take a step back, think about don't try to read what's getting ready to happen, and give it that moment for them to say whatever it is and then react. We already ready to react to things before we even know what's about to happen. Derek, you can go ahead.
Hey, look, also, when it comes to relationships are not just limited to the mates or husband and wife. You got to think about the household, the family dynamic. And a lot of times the way we communicate spills over into how the children communicate. You know, if you go and yell at your kids, clean up your room, you're yelling at the husband or you're yelling at your wife, what happens, it becomes mass confusion in the household. And so as adults in the household, we set the tone for how our children communicate. Because I've been in people's households before where everybody's yelling at the top of their lungs. Husband, the wife, the children, even the dog is barking. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's going crazy. The bottom line is we have to learn how to communicate, and it goes back to what we said early on. You have to learn the language of your audience. If you're a comedian, if you're a host, if you're a preacher, you know, if you're a politician, in order to be effective and to win over the people in front of you, you have to learn how to speak to them with the right kind of tone and the right kind of language. A preacher can't just preach to everybody. He's able to reach certain people in the congregation because he knows his audience. He knows what their vibe is. He knows whether they're educated, whether they're not educated. He knows whether they're culturally sensitive or whatever. And so I think that we have to take a lot of those skill sets and bring them into our household, where in order to have the microphone in your hand in your household, in your relationship, you have to learn how to be a masterful communicator. You have to learn how to speak the language of your audience. If you're speaking French and everybody in your house is speaking German, it's going to be mass confusion. And I think, listen to what everybody is saying here right now, it even sounds like confusion. The truth of the matter is that I think we all need to go back to education and educating ourselves more about relationships. I like reading books, going to counseling, and and getting good material other than maybe just Netflix. I love Netflix too, but we got to get some educational material to learn how to be a good wife. A lot of us have a lot of pride and ego, and we're too ashamed because we're 50 or because we're 40 that we really don't know what to do. Be honest with you, I counsel a lot of people, and a lot of men and women honestly don't know what to do, but they're ashamed to say it. I think we need to put our pride aside and go back and learn together as a team. The husband is not judging the wife is not judging the husband or boyfriend or girlfriend, but together as a team, they both can go and become students of love, where they both can hold hands and get their materials together and do homework together. Learn how to study together. And if both people grow together, they'll, if they know together, they'll grow together. And so that's what it's really all about. Yeah.
So let's do another real quick before we move on. Let's do another quick giveaway. And I don't know, Dirk, you come up with something that would be our next winner. I've already told you what the gifts are. So we have one winner, Victoria Holland. So for the second winner, Shariva kind of gave you the details on what you have to do as far as liking the pages and things. But what's another, you can throw a question out there or something. We actually did the first person to join. What's another one?
Let's see here. Let me think off the top of my head. What's something? I mean, you guys can help me out. I don't know. Look, I don't want to wreck my brain. Everybody, let's come up with an idea.
Yeah, give me something to pick somebody who's out there watching.
Who gave the most intriguing question?
The most intriguing
question of the world.
Let's see. Shariva, did you see? Show some of the questions and let's go by what's on the thread real quick and show some of the questions and what y'all think.
Yeah, we had a bunch of questions that came up on the screen that was pretty good.
It's quite a few questions though, y'all. So I don't know if that's.
It's only one bathroom.
Oh yeah, hey, that bathroom comment.
We back to the bathroom again. No, it's done with the bathroom, y'all.
Yeah, we.
I'm gonna just scroll through them, so y'all pick them out.
Okay.
Why are the men only concerned about the bathroom?
Okay.
I agree.
Let's see.
You need to be concerned about the relationship.
Define nagging. That started a good one.
Mm-hmm.
The one we did not answer was a recent one that I just saw. From YouTube, James Ward, how do y'all think self-esteem plays in a relationship?
I think that's a good question.
That's a very
Good
good
one.
question.
I
So
think
what
that's
y'all,
important because, huh?
so what y'all think? We're trying to give away this gift real quick, and then we're gonna actually answer James' question. But what do you think, James? Does that sound like one of the, a good question out of the ones we've
Yes.
received?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think
What's the
so.
vote of the panelists? We good with James being a
Everybody say
winner?
aye.
All right,
Yes.
James
All in favor?
Ward, you are a winner. If you inbox us or inbox me and give me your
Right.
information, you will receive one of our gifts for tonight. Thank you so much. This is an awesome question. So
Great question.
we're gonna go right into it. Let's talk about that one.
Hey, so look, so what I'm saying is, in terms of self-esteem, when you think about everything that we've been saying, a lot of times this stuff goes back to the root of what I was telling you about, the root versus the fruit. And I think that, before we start trying to figure out how we're going to find the right man or find the right woman, a lot of times people haven't found themselves. They haven't even found their own purpose in life. And Dana, you said something that was very important early on. You talked about benefits and a job. That's something that I talk about a lot of times in my workshop. I think that a lot of times relationships are failing, even with self-esteem, because self-esteem has a lot to do with whether you're confident or whether you know yourself or not. Relationships are failing because I think that we're always looking to pursue relationships. We need to stop pursuing relationships. We need to stop pursuing purpose. And once you start pursuing your purpose and your individuality, you automatically send out that fragrance and you attract the right kind of person. A lot of times we sending off the wrong signals and we wonder why we keep getting the wrong people. It's because it's the wrong fragrance. They can't smell your aroma. When you have an aroma of purpose and you sending out that signal, that energy, the right people can hear the call and they'll start gravitating to you. So if you're not attracting the right kind of people, that means that you're choosing the wrong kind of people because you're just as confused as they are in most cases. Now, I'm not saying that every person is bad, and I'm not saying that every person is confused, but oftentimes we don't even know what we want. We always talk about what we don't want, but most people never talk about what they do want. And that's the question that's very difficult for most people. So self-esteem has a lot to do with your knowledge base of yourself. Self-esteem. You esteem yourself. It didn't say marriage esteem. It didn't say boyfriend and girlfriend esteem. It says self-esteem. So what do you really know about yourself? When I have counseling sessions, I have women always complaining against the men. I have men complaining against the women. And I always say, let's talk about each individual person and go back into your childhood. Because oftentimes your childhood has a lot to do with what kind of adult you become. And it's a lot of old wounds and scars, and it's learned behavior that's been programmed from how we've seen things in our household, our daddies, our mamas, our friends, and we're repeating those generational curses that we've heard in our household. Unfortunately, everybody don't have parents, like you said, Dana, whose parents have been married 30 and 40 years. And just because, let me add this, just because they've been married 30 or 40 years, and I'm not talking about your parents per se, just because people have a long history of marriage doesn't mean that they've been happy the entire time. I mean, you can be married for 50 years and only happy out of 10 of those 40 years or 50 years. So we got to make sure that we have not just the years, but we have the ingredients of love and how to establish love in the family to build self-esteem and make it better. So that's my piece on that.
Yeah, that's a great point. There are a lot of married people who are single. Okay, there are a lot of married people who are single, so they're living like roommates. So the thing is that, and to add to your point, when I think about my parents, they didn't have a perfect marriage. They were married almost 64 years, but they didn't run at the first sign of struggle either. So the thing is that a lot of times when there's, I think about, the death of a child, a child on drugs, I can go down the line. And the thing about it is like, they were like, no, we're going to stick it in and we're going to figure this thing out. But that goes back to having that team mentality. And when there's no I in team, truly, you're not going to go to take out your teammate. You want to get in the team, you want to get in there with them and help them figure it out. And so, to your point, Prince DeJour, my parents, they made it work.
Yeah, it's good.
But it takes two people to make it work. A lot of times you have to realize that you can do all the right things or all the things that you think that you're doing right. But if that other person isn't as vested in wanting to make that relationship work, then you're kind of doomed. You can want it all day long. So I just wanted to put that out.
So let me just say,
I agree. Hey, so
Tanya,
I was going to add to that really quick.
Can we, Tanya?
Okay, go ahead, Tanya.
Oh, okay. I was just going to add to your point, Dana and Prince DeJour, is that I did not have an example of marriage. I was raised by my grandmother, and she was not married. She had been divorced and never wanted to remarry. She didn't think marriage was something that she wanted. She rather actually play the field. I love her to death, but that's what she did. And then I had aunts and uncles and things, but they were married, but I never got a chance to, that was just what I saw was a marriage. I never saw the ins and outs because I didn't live with them. So here I am getting married, and I told CJ, I said, before we get married, we need to do premarital counseling. And so we did, right? That was the best thing for the both of us, because we then had to really dig deep inside to the root and not the fruit. I'm leaping inside just hearing you discuss these certain things, because we literally had to do the work. We had to do the work before we went down the aisle. So when we began to research and dig deep into our root of our lives, I realized, wow, I did not have a mother to show me what a woman was, what a mother would do to a child. I had a grandmother, but she stepped in because she had to. You understand what I'm saying? So she raised me, but I never had that motherly instinct. So here I am getting ready to get married, and I'm looking for my mother to dress me, to talk to me before I walk out, and I didn't have any of that. So I really was breaking the generational curse, and for CJ, he had to break a lot of yokes, generational curses too, because of the way he was raised. So I thank God for premarital counseling, because it does really, really help a whole lot if you're honest with yourself. And you have to be truly honest with self and lay it on the table. And like you said, you got to write some stuff out. You got to do some different things. But in order to make your relationship successful, and like you said, Dana, years, okay, they were married for years and years, and in the years that we've only been married 2 years, and we've experienced twice a death of a child. Two children are deceased. We've experienced so much within the 2 years. So I don't even sometimes think the years even matter for your experience. It's just how you and how y'all work together. Are you wired to work together as a couple and not just run? Because he could have left at the first death. He could have left the second death. I could have left. I could have checked out a long time ago. Stuff that would have you losing your mind. I really began to find myself and my purpose. Thank you. So this is like, you said you would be more of just a conversation, but it's actually confirmation that we are somewhat doing the right things here.
So, wonderful. Hey, Tanya, I want to add to what you said, because, a good relationship is a lot like driving a car. We get premarital counseling. When you get a car, you have your oil change, your brakes change. A lot of married couples go to premarital, but they never go to counseling again the rest of their life. That's something that you have to do on a regular basis. You have to have some kind of somebody that you're accountable to talk to. You have to change the oil in your relationship. You got to change the brakes in your relationship. Sometimes you got to get a tune-up. You got to get an alignment. The relationship needs the same thing that your car needs. And if you don't take it to the shop, and if you don't recognize those, see, when we talk about the toilet seats and we talk about all this other stuff about who's passing gas and who got a toilet seat and all this other stuff and who got the WAP and all this other stuff, all that stuff is cool. But the truth of the matter is those are only check engine lights. Those are check engine lights. And if you don't recognize the check engine light, the car eventually will break down. The same thing with relationships. When the man doesn't want to talk, when the man doesn't want to listen, if the woman don't want to talk or don't know how to talk, those are check engine lights going off in your relationship, letting you know that you need a tune-up. So it's good that we're having this today, because this is a tune-up for a lot of people. Somebody is watching this right now and getting this information. Go ahead.
But this is why it's also very important to, like you said, have a tune-up and check in. I just literally found myself within the last let me see. It's been what? It'll be 5 months. So my grandmother passed away, and in those 5 months, I realized that within the 21 days that he was in the hospital, I learned that I, in 21 days, was not the same woman I was 21 days prior. my life had
That's right.
drastically
That's right.
changed. I found out that guess what? I now have to check in with my husband and see where he is, and now I got to check in and see where I am, because guess what? We both have changed within the and no one had to tell me to do that. I just did it because I felt that in my spirit. I have changed my life. My life has changed. His life has changed. Now we got to get ready to see where we are together and work this thing out, because the walk now is totally different. We're not running, we're walking. You know, you walk through the valley. You don't run through the valley, you walk, because you got to take your time, because there's things that you'll see later on in the valley that you didn't see if you were running.
And
so look, before we go to the next question, does anybody else want to add to that?
Okay, because Marlon also has something to say too.
Yeah, so
ahead,
I think that the conversation has evolved. So what I was originally wanting to talk about was, and I think you said it too, Doc, was the fact that when you are married, your children are in that marriage as well, right? So it's like a triangle, right? So no matter what, your children are a part of that marriage. So it's very, very important for you, when you're a married couple, to understand and know what was your upbringing like, what was your parents like, what were the people that you were raised with, what were they like, what was the situation like, how did they act, was the relationship, how was the communication, all of that stuff is so important. So when y'all talk about getting to the root, it is so important. And so one of the things that we have to know is we're going to take things with us. Right? Some things are going to be good and some things aren't going to be good, but we have to recognize what those things are. And so because we're bringing those things into our relationship, I am bringing what my parents did into the relationship.
That's right.
Right. But I have to learn how to shave off what's not good and keep what's good. She has to do the same things. And then because we know it, we can quickly identify, wow, you know what? I'm kind of acting like what my mom would normally do. I don't want that. Or I'm acting like what my dad would normally do, which is a great thing. So it's important for us as couples to understand what our relationship was like growing up and what our childhood was like. It's going to be so important because we're going to bring that into a relationship.
But that also means
Hey, Marlon, you made a very significant point.
About
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sister. Go ahead.
We had to be honest about the things that we were bringing into the relationship from the relationships that we did grow up around. So both of our parents, both sets of families, they've been together for all these years. But what we saw, we realized early on, hey, I don't really like that. I didn't like that part of how they didn't communicate or the miscommunication or that. And we had to be like, okay, they were together for a long time. We definitely want to be together, but we have to pick and choose and make sure that we pick the good fruit of those relationships that we did see and throw all the rest of that away and realize that it's our marriage and not theirs. We saw great marriages, but there are things that makes our relationship greater because we didn't want to mimic exactly what they had, because we understood that there are a lot of things that even our parents, as much as we hold our parents up to on a pedestal, that there were things that we just did not agree with and like in their relationships that we saw. And so we had to be truly honest, even though, sometimes it might feel some kind of way when somebody says, when he says, well, baby, such and such, or, I saw my mama doing that, and she's a great person, but that's not what I should be doing. It's an honest factor that we had to really bring in. And if you're not honest, and if you can't be honest, then you can't be in a marriage for a long period of time, because it's a lot of changing, a lot of things that you have to rearrange in yourself in order to come together with a full purpose and make sure that it's solid.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's really, really good.
I totally agree. And you know what? We talk about generational curses. Oftentimes people don't really understand that generational curses are simply traditions and patterns. And a lot of times it's not so much that just the devil's riding your back. And I mean, I know, religiously, a lot of people like to say that, and maybe that's true if that's what you believe. But I honestly believe, according to psychology and a lot of social workers in our background, what we've learned is that some generational curses can be broken because of the habits in the family. Like if you eat pork and then you feed your children pork. Well, you got cancer, but now your children got cancer. A lot of times, if you curse, the children curse. You know, if they see certain behaviors, then a lot of times the children will mimic what they see the parents do. So a lot of us, we were the children. We were the children who are now grown now. Now we're 30, we're 40, and we're 50 years old. We picked up a lot of traditions and habits, and all traditions aren't good. I know we always say, well, my mama did it that way, my daddy did it that way. Just because your daddy did it that way don't mean that it's effective in our relationship. You have to learn the language of your mate in 2020 or whatever year you got together with your mate, because some things worked for them back in the 50s and the 60s, you know, and whatever. But you have to also be aware of what's like the Bible. We all read the Bible, but most people believe in God. But you have to apply the Bible based on where you are in today's language, in today's world. You know what I'm saying? In order to have a spiritual relationship to be an effective with you in the household. So generational curses start with patterns and traditions. Once you learn how to reevaluate all the things you've been doing in your household, just because your mom and your daddy did it, take the meat and spit out the bones. Take what works, and the rest of it you need to throw out and be able to start something new and have a brand new love and relationship.
That's okay. So we're gonna stop real quick too, because we're getting close to time, but we still got time. I want to give away another giveaway, and then we'll have one we'll do at the very end. I don't know, Shariva, I'm gonna pull you in here. You come up with something that, you know, whether it's a question, it could be something we talked about at the beginning of the show. It could be something that has to do with Dove Style Magazine, something. It can even be some trivia about you, me, somebody on the show, or even Prince DeJoy. It's something that wins the next prize. What you got? We can't hear you.
Well, we did have one giveaway question that we were gonna.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me now? We did have one question that was for the giveaways that we were going to ask, was everybody that in the comments section to put pick a number between 1 through 100, and the person that's the closest to that number will win that next giveaway.
So y'all go for it, but keep watching. Okay, don't click the button. Just So while y'all are doing that,
but pick your number.
We'll go through there and figure that person out, and at the end we'll give away the last. We'll do the last giveaway. But this has been a great conversation. I do want to make sure that we have a little bit of time, because what I did notice was, and I think it was Felicia Pratt pulled up something, and I actually would like to go around to each couple and single, everybody on the panel. And I think her question had to do with well, actually, she asked for the couple over 10 years to give us some secrets to your marriage. But I also want to ask for the couple under 5 years to tell us something. What was one of the biggest lessons you learned since you have gotten married? And then for the singles, just share a little bit about what you're looking forward to. You know, what is it that you're looking for going forward in your journeys? And then I want Derek to share some great tips, because I know some of the lives we did, you shared some stuff that we could actually, I hope y'all taking notes, and you know, share some of that stuff, because I do think that people are learning something. I know I am. So we wanted to end on that note before we get, because I can see us doing this again, because we got plenty questions, fun and serious, but I definitely want to I think we'll go to start asking the questions. We can start with the couples for the 10 years and over. Marlon, we want you all to tell us, what is the secret to, tell us how long you've been married, and then what the secret is to staying married as long as you have. What you think the secret is?
Okay. Well, that,
How long we been married?
so we've been married for 18 years, been together for almost 21 years. And so there's a lot of different things, but I'll just maybe talk about just a couple. One, which I think is very, very important, is to make sure that you truly understand what your partner has said. Because oftentimes, you know, we can communicate and she might say something, but that's not what I heard, right? I may have heard something totally different. So it's important for me to kind of go back and say, okay, well, this is what you said, or this is what I heard you say. And she'd be like, no, that's not what I was saying. So we got to make sure that we truly understand what, you know, each partner, like what did she really say, or what did he really say? Now I can speak for me as a man, the second thing that I would say is that for men, it's so important for you to make sure that your lady truly know that she's loved by you. And that's your actions. That's what you say. Like when you wake up in the morning, it should be your goal. Like, what am I going to do today? Not tomorrow, the next day. What am I going to do today to make sure that my wife, my lady, knows truly that she's loved by me? That is so, so, so important. Those are some of the things that I've learned.
And I've learned that we had to learn to speak to each other in our love languages. And so that's learning a foreign language when you speak different languages. And so again, we're non-traditional on our love languages. Also, my love language is words of affirmation. Usually that's a male dominated like love language. But his is gifts. Mine are gifts. You come with gifts all you want, but I need those words. I need him to speak those words. Like every time I do something, it's baby, how was that? I'm always asking my husband. And so for him, his gifts, and it doesn't have to be a big gift. I know that if I'm at the grocery store, if I'm traveling, doing my gigs and stuff like that, if I come back, even if I give him something that I got off the airplane, I was thinking about him, and he knows that. And so I always want him to know. Yes, all the little mini bottles of alcohol, but still. But we speak to each other. We've learned to really communicate in our love language, and that works even in our arguments, because he knows that words are very, very powerful to me. So he knows not to use certain words and the type of language, or because that definitely hurts me. So we fight fair. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't. We don't want to argue or come with an argument in order to win the argument. It's in order to listen to each other and come to an understanding. Right. And so we've learned to fight fair over these years, and we've also learned to apologize. If our kids see an argument, we apologize. Right. We let them see the entire thing. We don't just come and be made up, days later. Right. They see the entire process, and we also explain to them. And so we've been together for a long time, and it was not always that way. Right. But over the years, we have learned to do that in order to make sure that we're nurturing each other so that we can be together in team. Yes, there's no I in team, but there is AM, and then God is the great I am. And we want to make sure that what we do under him, under the great I am, and together as the great I am, is pleasing to him. So we want to please each other.
Absolutely. That is awesome. Okay, now Derek, we want to pick a single, because I want to get to everybody and you all just share. So who's next?
Let's go with Cassandra. Cassandra, you've been kind of quiet over there. So I want to hear Cassandra's perspective.
So
wake up.
Tell us something going forward, and even based on tonight, what it is you're looking for going forward in relationships and things like that, and communication, that kind of, what have you learned?
So that's quite interesting. So I think for me, I've learned most actually, of course, from the married couples, even a couple that's only been married a couple years, and then my warrior couple down there at the bottom. They're not going to tell it, but what I learned from my brother is he realized, and he said it earlier, and because he acted on it, he realized he was ready, and that's what I'm going to make sure that I am. I'm going to make sure that I'm ready when that man comes for me. And I commend the both of them, because when they decided that they were ready, they just went on and they stepped out on faith. And see, and that's what we have to do when we're talking about bringing two bodies together. We got to step out on faith, because I don't know him and he doesn't know me. And like the old saying says, I'm from Venus and he's from Mars. And it's true. We're from two different worlds that we have to learn each other. And that's just what Marlon and Algiers said. They had to learn each other. Algiers just said it wasn't like that the whole 18 years. Absolutely. So they had to figure it out. And then I think what I want to say Dana said was, and somebody put in the comments, we got to have that staying power. We just can't get up and leave, like Prince Deja said, because somebody didn't put down the toilet.
Right.
The problem in these days and times, people don't have that staying power. And that goes back to the original question that Dana said. It seems like at this age, people just wants to say, forget it. And so for me, that's what I'm gonna do for me. I'm gonna just make sure that I'm ready. I'm gonna make sure that when he comes to me, that I'm ready and I'm available.
Okay.
Hey, Lisa, I want to say something. I want to say something that Cassandra just said that was very important. She said, when the man finds me, I want to be ready. That was very important. That stuck with me, because I was talking to both of my daughters earlier today, and they were riding in the car, and I'm always dropping knowledge on them, so they know I'm always going to get deep about life. And we were talking about relationships, and we were talking about the scripture that he who finds a wife finds a good thing. And I was explaining to my daughter that a lot of people misinterpret that scripture. When you look at that word find, the word find doesn't mean a geographical location. The word finds means to find where you are in your heart and your soul. See, there's a lot of people who are married and still not found. There are a lot of husbands and wives have still not been found. They're together, but they haven't been found because they have not allowed their heart to be completely open and vulnerable to their mate about their past pain and their past hurts. And until you're able to be openly vulnerable, you'll never be found. And until you're found, you'll never be able to communicate. And so I think what we need to do is go back to finding that little girl, that wounded little boy inside of us. And even myself, I mean, I'm not just saying this because I'm the expert, so to speak, but I had to do a lot of soul searching. I had to do a lot of healing, a lot of growing. The reason why I'm telling y'all about this is because these are the lessons that I had to learn from my own self. Until you find out who you are as a boy, who runs the world, girls or boys, until you know who you are as a girl and a boy, you'll never know who you are as a man and a woman. It all starts with your youth. That's why even in the Bible it talks about childlike faith. God always talks about the innocence and the purity of a child, because sometimes we're so grown and adult-like, we have all these programmed perceptions about men and women, what a man should do, what a woman should do. Most of us are completely confused because we have everybody else's concepts in our head, from TV, movies, our mama, our daddy, the church. We got everybody's opinion about what our marriage should be. You have to find out what works for you and your house, for you and your mate, for you and your man, and that's the only way you're going to survive in this whole thing. And I got a nod from my man Marlon, so I know I'm telling the truth. It's all good, right?
All right, that's good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, before we go, we're gonna go up to Tanya and CJ, but first we're gonna hit Sean up. Sean, tell us what tell us how, because we're coming to the end of this, and I really want to see where everybody is kind of even gained, learned, and how we move forward, because this is a continuing conversation, and this is all part of growing. And that's why I thought this was such an important thing to do, because it's, even if we're having fun and doing all those kind of things, but we're learning through this, and people are in all different stages of relationships. And like the married couples that said, I've been married for 10 years, but actually know my husband for 31 years. So every story is different, every timeline is different. And no, we're not the same people that we were. I will say to what Cassandra was saying is that it didn't happen for us until we both were ready at the same time. And I'm grateful for that moment. Now, our timeline was a little different, but it had, when I will tell you this, when he was ready, there was no hesitation. There wasn't any waiting around. Things were just happening like this. I was totally confused because it seemed like a tug and pull in the beginning. But when he was ready, I didn't get that. And I think sometimes women, we want what we want, but we're not really paying attention to the fact that if he's not ready, this is not going to be good. But Sean,
That's right.
tell me what you learning from this and where you headed, and give us a little tip or something before we move on. And then CJ and Tanya, we're gonna come to you.
Okay.
And Derek, you come in whenever you know.
Well, what I learned from it first.
Go ahead, Sean.
What I learned first of all, I want to commend all the couples that have been married that have figured each other out. I was married at one time, and life lessons learned is like you were saying. You know, we didn't have that fight in us. We didn't have that fight. I was married for 4 years, so we didn't have that fight in us, and then we just split apart, family split apart, and everything. But what I learned is, you know, well, I knew this before getting on here, but what I learned is, you know, you have to stick it out. You know, you can't quit, you can't give up, you can't raise. Sometimes you feel like raising up your hands, but you can't. You know, and marriage counseling, yes, absolutely, premarital counseling and marriage counseling. You know, but it's so important because it can actually damage, you know, your life. So God is meant for you to be with one person, and that's who you're supposed to be with. But I just learned a lot, you know. So I'm really thankful for the married couples.
Okay, CJ and Tanya.
And then Prince.
Yes.
Hi, I'm CJ Joyner. I've been married for 2 years come Tuesday, the 22nd.
Woo! Happy anniversary.
The secret for me, as far as being married, there is no secret. I made a vow to God that I was going to love and cherish my wife. And that's what I do. So, I mean, whatever it takes to make her happy, I'm all about that, you know? So I think of her before I think of myself. So it's always about me pleasing my wife, and that God has blessed us with a 5-month-old jewel, our gift. So that's more love for me to share between my wife and my daughter. So when I stood up there at that altar, I told God I made that promise. And as I speak to you all at this very moment, I stand firmly on my vow.
Amen.
Good. It's good to hear from brothers like that. I tell you, it's encouraging. Go ahead, Lady.
Thank you.
So my secret has been, because I remember I said I did not have an example.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to excuse me because I'm getting a little emotional because the question is very serious.
Mm-hmm.
What's the secret? Because you didn't have an example. So I'm building my foundation. I'm building my marriage. And my marriage is between, like I'm hearing Marlon, I'm hearing you, Doctor, and I'm hearing Lisa, and it's our thing. And so it's very personal at this very moment because the person that I would lean on is no longer here. So I'm building our thing. And so what I have to stand on for this entire 3 years that we've known each other till we've been married is my faith. I stood on faith and I stand firmly in prayer. I've always been that way. That was nothing new for me. But the only thing that happened in our marriage was that I now had to turn it up a notch. And so I put God first. I already knew those things to put God first, but I don't want it to be like, oh, they're just a spiritual No. This is like really serious. I really had to stand on my faith. And at the beginning, we funned around, we met, we partied, we this and that. But I was so out of my I guess my little circle.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it was time for us to come together, what have you, I was like, wow, this is really happening. So I really had to learn to stand on my faith, build what I have. And I really, 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 I cannot say this enough. I thank you, Lisa. I really enjoyed tonight. I really enjoy hearing marriages like Marlon and Algiers and Prince Dejo and Dana and Chris Cassandra, talking the way you guys are talking is so very important because people are really depending on relationships and marriages like this. This is not seen often. You know, Black relationships, Black marriages, like Sean said, they didn't have the stick-to-itness. It was, I had fun with you, now I'm done with you. So it was a real quick thing, you know, but we're still here standing on the promise. And this is good. I really enjoyed it. My heart is really full because, you know,
I'm so glad.
Hey, Lisa. Also, we got Lisa and Mike at the bottom. You can't really see them. It's dark, but they're there.
They drive.
Can you guys hear us?
Yeah, we're gonna get to them too.
Okay.
We're here. Yeah. And I think Prince Dejoy, you said that Prince. Yeah, Prince. You're the youngest one on the panel, I believe. So now it's your turn to speak up.
What's up?
Right. It's your turn to speak up for the young folks.
Well, just to let y'all know, me and my girl, we'll be celebrating 4 years dating next Friday.
Okay.
All right.
Anniversary. One thing I would say I learned that I'm a piggyback on Marlon, and I want to say is Algiers, is the love language. Like me, I'm a gift giver. You know what I'm saying? My girl wants something. I like traveling. I like taking her places. But she just likes quality time. So I'm like, man, I'm buying you these shoes, all the stuff that you want. But it's not really making anything work. So when my friend told me, he was like, yo, Paul, you know, you just got to spend that quality time. I said, man, you would rather us sit in the house and watch Netflix and binge watch Girlfriends versus going to spend money at Ruth Chris. So once I realized that, I said, you know what? Okay, I got to start stepping back. But you guys have really helped me out a lot. You know what I'm saying? As far as getting ready for marriage and going through like the counseling. And, you know, I've been through some things in my life, a lot of drama. I lost my mom to breast cancer. My little brother committed suicide. So I had a lot of trauma that I was still building and getting over with. So I think when we met, we was kind of meeting at my changing point. And, you know, she definitely helped me to be a better man. You know, I'm an extrovert. She's an introvert. You know, I like being in front of the camera. She like being behind the camera. So, you know, I help her to be more motivated and to go after her goals. She helped me to kind of like calm down. Like, all right, Paul, you know, you don't got to, you know, be all flashy. You can still be cool and chill. So listening to y'all talk about y'all marriages, I'm like, man, like, that's goals, because like my grandparents, they've been married for like 54 years. So I always wonder what actually, you know, goes into this. You know, it's a lot of compromising, you know.
Right.
You know, we was talking about the whole nagging thing. Like, you know, I got a heavy foot when it's driving. So, you know, she always like, Paul, slow down. So I noticed that, you know, I gotta kind of make sure she feels safe. And I can't remember who said it, but he said when you wake up, make sure she feels like she's loved. And I thought about it this morning. Yeah, Marlon, you said it. So I thought about it. I changed something up today, Marlon. I woke up. I'm like, all right, babe, like just a little quick peck on the cheek. You know what I'm saying? And I thought, I'm like, man, what if I don't come home? Like, I'm a police officer. Like, what if something happened? I'm like, babe, come back, yo, give me another kiss. I'm like, yo, give me another one. Then I left up. All right, let me get one more. And so she was like, so that really, really made her feel like, dang, like, you know, he really loved me and he really wants the best for me. So, I mean, I really wish you could keep doing this, you know, getting advice from, you know, older couples, you know what I'm saying? Because this is like my second actually, this is my longest relationship. Like, I've never been in a relationship over a year. So going on 4 years, you know, it's different for me. So I appreciate all you guys. And Shariva, I appreciate you for the invite. You know, Prince, man, as you can see on my computer, I got the notes. I was like, hey, I said, okay. So you were dropping a lot of gems, Prince Dejoy, yes, man. You were dropping a lot of gems, man. Like, I really appreciate that.
Okay. Well, what you think, Prince? We should go to Lisa and Mike and then Dana, because Dana started everything. So we're gonna let her end everything before me and you say our parting words. Right. We're gonna let Dana take us home after that. So Lisa and Mike, just share us, they're newly married. Share with us a little bit about what you've learned in this relationship thing, you know, because going from being single and dating is a transition. I do believe that you're supposed to change when you get married, because it actually is still, even if you're living together, it's a different relationship. Once you say I do, it's just different. So tell us a little bit about what you learned, what, you know, some tips or something.
Good evening.
All right. Good evening, everybody. We're coming into our fourth month of marriage. We were married this past May 22nd. First marriage for the both of us. Major transition. Living on my own all those 52 years or so. And then moving in with my husband. Yeah, it was a major. I went through a breakdown almost because I felt like I was giving up something, even though I wasn't. I was not. And to understand that we are a team. He's not out to hurt me, he's not out to get me, kind of thing, and I'm good because I've been used to doing it all on my own, just as he was. So, but to be relaxed and be able to relinquish control to him, it's been exhilarating. Because I trust him.
I like the way she said that. That's awesome.
We came into this relationship, we were both complete. Neither one of us needed to complete the other. That's major. I knew of marriage. I saw marriage. My parents were married 40 plus years before my mother passed on, and his parents were 45 years before his dad passed on. So we knew what long-term marriages look like. In a sense, I wasn't looking for a husband, but I just wanted to make sure I was good to go. I was complete. I was ready to accept whomever was going to come into my life, and he came with a bang. I wasn't looking for him. Looking for him, so it was a shock. It was a shock, total shock. But and Cassandra can attest to it as well. I wasn't looking for this. But it was well received. So yeah.
Congratulations.
It's been nothing but fun, communication. Yeah, that's what it is so far. It's been like we've been married for years, and like I said, it's only been a few months. But he's my best friend, and it's all good.
Right. Thank you. Mike, want to say anything?
Michael?
Well, I wasn't looking to get married. You got me on me?
No,
yeah, we did. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to holler. We in the car trying to get back up the road. And I had pretty much given up on the idea of being married, and then things just started happening. I kind of had my sights set on her for a minute, and I think it all came to a head one night while we were out at H.D. Wilson function, actually, and just the back and forth, the conversation, and then the more and more you talk, the more and more you learn about somebody. I think it was a perfect fit. And then I heard a lot of folks talk about marriage counseling, and it's probably I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, if your foundations are set, if you're equally jailed, and you all have the same goal or end goal in mind, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. What? Oh.
All right.
As long as you're not like out to use that person, not to, take advantage of the other person. They're not trying to take advantage of you, and you're, laughing and joking when when you need to be serious, when you need to be, everything should be fine.
Okay.
Everything will be fine. You know, don't take life too serious. Enjoy it for what it is. You know, day to day.
Thank you, Mike.
Look, and just another thing, we're just leaving my grandmother's house. Right? 99 years old.
You fading out, Mike.
Yeah, we're in Lynchburg, so we're coming back up the road.
Okay, we losing signal. Okay, Dana, before me and Prince DeJour close us out. Come on, you started all of this, you know.
Come on, Dana.
What can I say? I mean, this has just been an amazing couple of hours, and so many gems and jewels dropped. What I can say is that we're always evolving, right? And the thing is that what I can say is what I did for me is it was so critical for me to put the work in and to find out, you know, what part did I have to play in the demise of my own relationships? It's not always the other person. You know, there's two people, it takes two to tango. And what I'll say is that we're flawed individuals, you know, and don't look to the other person to make you happy or whole. That's not their responsibility, because happiness depends on what happens. Okay. It's all based on where you are in a particular situation. But when you really ask yourself this question, do you like you? Would you date you? And I'm talking to my single brothers and sisters. Those are serious questions that you need to ask yourself. Have you spent time with yourself? You even like spending time with yourself. If you're always looking for that other person to complete you, you're going to be one miserable soul. But I just want to congratulate and Algiers and Marlon. I can say so much to you guys. You remind me of a much younger version of my parents. Because I'll say this, you said something critical and I'll never forget it. You're absolutely right. That even though my parents had 64 years of marriage, you'll learn what to do and what not to do. And you have to do, like you said, you have to do what works best for you. Because at the end of the day, that part of the vow that says forsake all others, it's a serious thing. Yes, it's exactly what it means. So, you know, I don't think that I am a hopeless romantic. I believe in marriage. I desire to be married. And I know that to God's will, it will happen one day. But it's so critical to put the work in and do the work so that when you should already be a wife before becoming one.
That's right.
So, you know, put the work in, invest in yourself.
Preach.
Make sure that this time while you're in whatever season that you find yourself in, that you're always putting that work in, evolving, because we're all changing. We're not the same. So this has been great, Lisa. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Dana. That was wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Prince DeJour, you've been laying it on us. You've been giving us some stuff. So before I close,
you know what?
out,
Lisa, I'll tell you. First of all, I just want to thank everybody for participating. I've learned a lot from you guys. It's so beautiful just to sit back and watch you guys on my computer. I'm smiling at each and every person. You guys have really given me a lot today to think about. I feel the love through the screen. And Dana, you said something that's very important, to be a wife before you become. That's why the Bible says he who finds a wife, which means you have to already be a wife before you become a wife. A wife is not a position and a husband is not a position. It's a quality. It's a quality of life, a personality trait. So once you work on that quality of life and become, good with yourself and self-esteem, then you can become a better husband, a better wife. And also I wanted to say two things. The other thing is true and mature love anticipates the need before it's needed. And I think, Marla, you kind of inspired that. That's something that I talk about in my workshops. But when I heard you talk, Marla, you made me think about that. Like, you get up every morning looking to find what you can do to make your wife feel loved. That's very important, because real love anticipates the need before it's even needed. And that's what you practice and what you shared to me today. So God bless you for that. Lastly, I want to share something with you guys that I found in my research this week. And check it out. I'll leave you simply with this. It says, you can be the whole package and still get delivered to the wrong address. And it says, when this happens, the receiver mishandles you because they don't know what to do with you. They weren't meant to get you in the first place. So they don't value you enough or the way that you need to be valued and loved. The bottom line is you're a whole package. you're either at the wrong house or still on the delivery truck. And then that's pretty much what relationships is all about. And then, you are still good, you are still loved. And for all my single people out there, I just want to tell you, single don't mean that you're disabled. Single don't mean that you're not loved and something is wrong with you. Single does not mean that you're a leper and nobody wants you. Single means that you're a single slice of a whole loaf of bread. Whatever ingredients in the whole loaf of bread is the same ingredients in the slice of bread, a single slice of bread. So even though you're single, you're not married, you come from some good stuff and it's delicious. So I had a great time with you guys. Love you so much, Lisa. I got love for you. I appreciate you. I mean, Tariva, thank you so much in the background, holding it down. And I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Before I hand out all thank yous and do the last giveaway, and hopefully maybe we found out what the number was. Shariva, I know you've been working your butt off. Before I go ahead and close us out, please, you on the screen with us. So anything that you takeaways, giveaways, because she's been helping me with these lives. And I just love Shariva to death. So before I go in, I wanted to just give Shariva opportunity and thank her so much because she keeps
Thank you.
No problem. And my key takeaway. Well, I'm single, so I'm taking all of this in. These are some really good jewels that were dropped today, and it was just. I feel like Paul, like I was over here writing notes, and then I was over here doing work at the same time. Like, okay, let me jot that down, But I agree. Like, there's so many good insights that I received tonight, as well as. It is challenging dating in this time because there are a lot of men who just don't want to commit. So, I work a lot, and if you can't deal with how busy I am and I'm a single mother, it makes it even harder. So, like, I felt like, I can't remember who said it, but, just work. I'm always working on myself. So I want to be ready when my husband pop around the corner and be like, hey, babe, how you doing? Okay. So I will be ready. I'm just waiting. Okay.
Thank you so much. So I wanted to first, Shariva, did we find out who had the closest number? Because I think we picked it ahead of time.
Okay. So the winner is Valerie Sherrod. She had the number that she had 35 and the number was 37.
Woo! Congratulations,
Valerie. Valerie is one of my Facebook friends. So Valerie, go.
Wonderful. And I guess, and I don't know, y'all help me out before I say goodbye with who I should give the last gift to, because I still want to stick to my 4 because that's what I said. But I wanted to thank each and every one of you for joining on here. This is something that I've wanted to do for a long time. And most of you all that know me know that I'm very transparent about, my relationship. I love, and I actually loved our whole transition as we met. I remember everything. So I was giddy about meeting them. I was giddy about the things that we went through and learned together. We have been through it all. But what I do know on the other side of that is that we continue to learn each other. And I actually enjoy learning over and over again, something new, something different. It's not a chore. And all of the things that you all were saying, I have taken notes myself. I do think that it's important. And it's just my opinion to continue to pour into your marriages, into your relationships, into yourselves. I am a absolute fan of premarital counseling. I think it was one of the best things we could have ever done for our marriage. Premarital counseling doesn't actually fix things for you, but it actually brings things to the surface, because what happens is we don't have those deep conversations, because I'm not a professional. So I need someone to tell me or help us to know what it is we should be looking for, what it is we should be talking about, so that when those things come about, I will confess, I enjoyed the exercises that they told us to do for these things and that things, because they literally worked. I think the problem is that people don't want to go through what they consider like a song and dance. But I'm just suggesting that anything that's even outside of your comfort. I know some people aren't comfortable with that kind of stuff, but it's okay to step outside of your comfort zone to do anything that's needed to be done for your marriage and for your relationships. I mean, even though Prince and Cherie, y'all not married yet, Dana and Cassandra, Sean, y'all not married yet, but like I think whoever was saying that, I think Lisa said it, that you have to be complete first before you go in. Because it's a different experience. It's hard, and we all are human. I came in with stuff, he came in with stuff, and then it makes the challenges bigger, but it doesn't mean that you can't work through them. So I agree with Marlon and Algiers that you can't judge your relationships and your experiences off of anyone else's. They're all different. There is no one right way or wrong way. I said I was going to write a book about the fact that me and my husband probably broke all the rules to find marriage, right? We just didn't do any of it right, like they said it was supposed to be done, but we found it, and it's constantly a work in progress. I love to celebrate, but at the same time, no, it's not always easy. But we keep pushing, and that's why I celebrate it, and that's why this was so important to me. Y'all know I wrote the book, The Power Shut Up, and that was part of my motivation, because I, as a woman, as a wife, as a mom, I needed to learn when to shut my mouth. And that's not just for wives, it's for us in general, and not just for women, it's also for men too. There's another side to that. There's silence. There's all kind of things that go into communication. You can say a lot with not saying anything. So I appreciate you all so much, because anything that brings communication together and helps us to bridge some of these gaps, because we do think differently, we do speak differently, and it's just a matter of understanding each other and compromising on some things. So I have thoroughly enjoyed this. This is everything that I wanted it to be. You all were absolutely great. Y'all were open, transparent, told all your business. But thank you all so much. I do look forward to doing this again. So all the feedback that you all have about what you thought about this, we have plenty of questions. I know Shariva, we had a long list of questions, so we didn't even get to all of it. But I welcome you all back to do this again. And hopefully this goes from here and we can actually see each other in person. I know my Warrior family, I appreciate y'all. My Dove Style Magazine family, I appreciate y'all. Prince Dejour, always you have supported, Dove Style Magazine, Lisa Dove Washington. Thank you so much. Prince, Shariva, that's my heart right there. So she hooked us up, and Tanya, you already know that's our skating buddy. So I will say that I met my husband 31 years ago in Crystal Skating Rink, and Crystal is a skater. Yeah, 31 years ago on Men's Only. I won't forget it. And as a matter of fact, we ain't going right now because it's COVID, but we actually still go skating because he used to skate for the Rolling Skulls. So he's an awesome skater, ATL. Hey, that's us on some level. That y'all seeing us. No, I'm just kidding. But thank you all so much. I want to we gave away all the gifts, right? But you all were supposed to come up with the last gift we give away. So I need even the panelists. Give me something, a question or something. That someone.
Lisa, the whole time we were talking, I kept seeing somebody one person kept constantly putting stuff up there. Maybe we should give it to them. They had a lot of great questions, but we didn't get a chance to answer. They kept, I think her name Robin Taylor.
Robin Taylor.
Yeah, I think that's what she kept coming up on the screen. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I do see Robin. Thank you so much for
Robin was on point.
Being engaged. Okay, Robin, I think by unanimous vote, Robin Taylor, you get the last giveaway for
congratulations.
HB Warriors. See, my Warriors are showing up. Y'all are the best. I love you all. I love you all, and I hope you all are there when I ring your phone again to do this yet again with more lessons that you've learned. I wish you all wonderful, wonderful years together. I wish you success in your relationships, whether it's married or single, that every day is blessed. And thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. This was fun. This was absolutely fun. Prince Dejour, always. I'll be in touch with you again. So thank you all. I'm sorry we went over just maybe 15 minutes, but y'all know how we do CP time, so whatever.
Man, we good. The Lord.
Hey, I love everybody.
You all have a wonderful Saturday night. Thank you for giving it to us, and we hope to talk to you again soon. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Bye.
Bye.